nights of super exciting events, packed houses every night at Dimes and Lolito, dinners celebrating Palestinian food, culture, history, the resiliency of Palestinian people led by Palestinian women, badass chefs, in collaboration with and supported by so many other folks, predominantly people of color, queer folks, a collective of chefs, artists, activists, other organizers in support of this and showing what it means to connect the struggle for just food and the struggle for sovereignty here and everywhere, but also what it looks like and what it can look like to build a better and more beautiful food world.
Not a coincidence that you see Israel hosting these sort of cultural propaganda campaigns with influencers like athletes who speak to many communities of color or to chefs. That is very, very intentional, and it's actually, I think, a response to the resistance that we built from the ground up here in this country and globally, using our culture and our food.
We're asking people to divest from all forms of colonialism and exploitation of people all over the world, Palestine and here. But we need to be cultivating welcoming, inspiring, sensual, beautiful spaces for them to enter when we ask them to exit the oppressive, dominant mainstream spaces. We're bringing together all kinds of people to be explicit in taking a stand with Palestinians in their struggle for equality and justice, and food sovereignty being such a central part of that.
Even in the most remote village in the Arab world, you have a post office and a bakery. Like, a bakery is that important. That was a component of what kept my culture resilient. What I've learned from the history of Arab peoples and what inspired me about the street corner bakeries and the cultural sort of preservation in the Arab world, despite the political turmoil, is what people have been able to do with food. We're doing deeper consciousness raising work, and food is an essential component of building trust. Organizing is all about building relationship, right? And trust and camaraderie. And so we use a tool like food to connect people.
Governments and corporations that are denying everyone across the world food sovereignty, they are internationally linked. And so our movements of resistance to those powers that be need to also be strongly linked.
There's millions of Palestinian refugees all over, and so when we think about our food sovereignty, it's about cultural preservation in the places that we're in, and that's inevitably interconnected to other people and struggle in the places that we're in. We're part of an ecosystem, and there's an opportunity there, not just to interlink our struggles, but to interlink our resistance with other indigenous communities, Black and brown farmers who are, trying to make a living subsisting off of the food that they grow. The same companies that are building the border wall in Mexico and the US is the same company that is building the wall in Palestine. And so we need to be making those connections. I can't be free as a Palestinian unless Black folks are free in this country. And I see that very, very clearly through food systems, through all the different lenses in which we're being oppressed.
And it's a threat to maintaining Israel's hegemony, right? If people are seeing the Palestinian struggle in the US as legitimate and part of an interconnected global movement of movements. More and more people and organizations are joining the BDS movement, and in doing that, what we're doing is accepting the Palestinian people's invitation to be an active part of an important struggle for all of us in resisting colonialism, apartheid, and all these systemic forms of violence and oppression that are visible not only in Palestine, but here and in the rest of the world. the global BDS movement is growing, and it's a really exciting way that people can get directly involved in a liberation struggle of an indigenous colonized people who are persisting and inspiring all the rest of us. We're asking for people to support and source from Palestinian, Lebanese, and other Arab producers, not allow for the mainstream food media or really well-resourced restaurants to rename Palestinian and other Arab food as Israeli, to listen to and help amplify the voices of Palestinians and other Arabs who are telling their own stories, and educate ourselves about what are the ways that all people paying taxes in the US are complicit in the occupation of Palestine, because the US directly funds and supports it. So joining the BDS movement and educating ourselves about what's going on in Palestine and what the really inspiring Palestinian movement for self-determination is asking for is a really beautiful opportunity for all of us to become a little bit more human and a little bit more free ourselves.
People are hungry and yearning for this kind of conversation.